This is my Porsche 997 Carrera S.
And it has come a long way. From the wrapped carbon fiber to all the other parts on the car painted red to the questionable RS wing, we've already cleaned up the cosmetics on this car a good amount. It also previously sounded like a tin can, a tone you'd never want to hear out of a Porsche, and we fixed that with FabSpeed's headers and 200-cell Sport Cat X pipe. The car was looking better and better, but even when I posted it on Instagram, there was still one thing left that people would consistently comment about. And trust me when I say that by the end of this video, this car is not even gonna look recognizably similar.
First things first, we gotta take care of this wheel gap on here. This is, let's say two and a half fingers back here. This is a lot worse. This is 3. That's a solid 3 right there.
That's like a 3 3/4 right there.
Yeah, I mean, the whole car has like hot rod stance right now. Like, it's freaking donking back here. What I will say is that this car probably has some of the best factory suspension I've ever felt, just straight from the gate. The way that it just floats along the highways and cruises, but at the same time, when you huck it into a corner, it stiffens up and it doesn't feel like it's actually like rolling around and stuff like that. It's phenomenal. So, I'm a little sad that we're gonna have to take it out. But we got the best in the game to replace it.
Sorry, this isn't very satisfying.
No. Boom. Whoop. Bilstein B16, baby. We also had to account for the fact that this car came optioned with what's called the PASM. You know what it stands for?
Porsche Active Suspension Management.
Yeah, what Christian said. And so hopefully the coilover is also accounted for that.
In front of your eyes, we had the Bilstein B16 Damptronic kit. Part number 491150604 to be exact. The coilovers looked beautiful, and it looked like it would be a super easy plug-and-play for the Damptronic wiring. Thanks to my buddy Christian, we're able to use his lift to get the car up in the air and start the installation.
Oh. What the hell?
So essentially what you can do with this loosened, so once you get these 3 bolts out, this will come down, obviously back to rest position, and then you can pull this out, and then this way, and then you can pull the strut out outside of the fender instead of trying to fight both these back and forth.
Something on a Porsche, that's easy.
It's like they think it through. They're like, okay, people are gonna do shocks on these eventually, so let's make it easy for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's a preset race car. This video is sponsored by Factor. Factor makes your nutritional goals easier by delivering you fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. Delivery day. So take a look at our spread. Now, you get to choose between 35 different selections from keto, calorie smart, protein plus, or vegan and veggie. And in our case, we of course have gone with Protein Plus. We're gonna cook one up right now to show you guys how quick this can be done, because within 2 minutes, you can have a meal all set up. So you take the cover off right there, poke some holes into the top, put her into your microwave, make sure she is on high, and then cook for 2 minutes. While she's cooking in here, I can explain to you that Factor is extremely convenient in that you don't have to go out and do grocery runs constantly. You can just have these preset on a schedule, and the scheduling also helps out with nutritional goals so that you can keep things linear as you work up to whatever you're trying to work up to. You can also adjust your shipments and have them not arrive a certain week if you have a certain event, if you're gonna be out of town, or if you plan on cooking that week. If you're like me and you have a really sweet tooth and it's hard to get into these, they offer various snack options like breakfast, small bites, smoothies, juices, and others to kind of help you get into your meal. Woo! It's not even been 3 minutes and we have dinner entirely served along with our protein shake. That's pretty good. This has now spared me at least 30 to 40 minutes of my dinner, so now I will have more time to go wrenching on cars or gaming with the boys. So you guys can head over to factor75.com and use my code JackUltra50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. Go click the link in the description below and save some hours off of your day.
And then it'll slide down.
Oh, whoa.
And then just, there you go.
There you go. Now you just pull it right out. Right out straight.
Come on now.
Keep going.
Oh.
Nice.
Hey.
Nice.
Look at this. It's literally got like 3 little levels to it.
Looks like
barely anything.
It's like a Christmas tree.
The B16 Damtronic kit does not come with new top hats, so you do have to reuse your old ones from your car. And knowing the 997 that I happened to pick out, these specific top hats weren't going to exactly be friendly. We very quickly ran into an altercation with the bolt that was rusted on top.
Dealing with a rusty bolt, part 70 on this car.
Blast you real quick.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah. East Coast cars, man.
Dude, she may have had 60,000 miles, but dude, she is
60,000 hard miles.
Carrera S you'll find. Yep. Yes.
Okay,
Jesus Christ. The nuts on top were fine, right?
Yep.
Put that elbow grease into it.
Yeah.
We're now at a minute.
So is it gonna
21
click?
No.
Oh, it's not.
Click.
It's just
I'll click.
okay.
Audible click.
Click. Thanks, man. It's done.
So, thank you, sir. Boom.
Beautiful.
Y'all.
Sick.
So close. Yep. There you go. Bingo. Do the honors. Beautiful.
Man.
Like all things when it comes to working on cars, installing the front coilovers proved to be more time-consuming than we expected. I attached the nuts to the top hats, and Christian bolted up and finished the bottom of the setup. We now had our B16s fully installed in the front. Just look at how beautiful they are. Moving over to the rear, there were 2 arms that were in the way that you do have to unbolt to get the stock setup out. Even with those arms fully undone, there was definitely a lot of shimming involved to get that factory strut out of there. But soon enough, with a little video editing cut magic, we had the rears fully installed, and it was time to get on the road.
So we found the perfect road to test out the new Bilsteins on with them now installed. I can't tell if they're a little bit more firm or if it's just the fact that this freaking road under construction is so bumpy.
Oh my God.
Holy crap. This is the Bilstein test. If the ride quality can be smooth enough that our freaking boba drinks can stay in the little Porsche cup holders that they have here. Always have a preference for actual cup holders that indent into your center console over these little freaking clamps. But they're holding on. Haley's like stressing right now.
I'm not holding on. They're holding on better than me.
They're holding on, honestly. And these roads, we found some of the most freaking bumpy roads in all of Arizona, because Phoenix has very smooth roads all throughout. But okay, yeah, this is
going crazy.
This is definitely.
No.
They're holding on. They're holding on.
But mathematically, they will fall because it's the center of gravity is like here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know how much we want to.
If you drink it down a little more, I wouldn't be worried. I'd be like, that's so funny.
Oh, we got red light and we got new asphalt.
And
They survived. They survived. No, they're good. They're good. I will say I am very honored that not only do I have some of the best coilovers, the B16s, it's the fact that they were sponsored and helped out by Bilstein. It's usually not the case that, you know, you could always get the best of the best on board for your build. But based on what I've read through and just based on how these feel overall, like these are genuinely the best set for the 997 Carrera S. So thank you, Bilstein, for getting on board this project.
It was now time to reveal what wheels I chose to go on this machine.
Well, I think we all saw this coming. So here's the thing I have to admit. I may or may not have bought these wheels before I purchased the Porsche itself. They took about 4 to 5 months to come in straight from Japan, and it has always been my internal dream to put work wheels on a Porsche, and that has been foreshadowed by a video that was made 5 years ago, and I spotted one at a Cars and Coffee. I don't know who you are, but shout out to you for putting your 911 on freaking Workmeisters right here. That's so cool. Major props, major props. So yeah, it's no surprise it is my style to run Japanese wheels on whatever I have, whether it was an R8 or an F-150 Raptor, and of course a Euro Porsche once again has to have some JDM Hot Boys on her. The work wheel in question that we went with is the exact same one from the video we spotted years ago. It is a gunmetal face Meister S1. Of course it's 3-piece, and these are brand freaking new. For anyone curious, these specs are in fact listed on the outside of the boxes here. So for the rear, we have a 19x11 and Porsche bolt pattern plus 42 offset. For the front, we have a 19x8.5 plus 48 offset. To break down the why, even though that shouldn't need to be answered, for the finish, everyone has a type, and I clearly have a type for the gunmetal centers with polished lip that's been seen on my Skyline. My opinion is that it is a finish combo that evokes quality while also being universal to any color you were to wrap or make the car down the line. And another thing I wanted to point out for choice is that I'm really choosing these for the sake of automotive fashion, and by fashion I mean cosmetics. Although the great thing about work wheels is that they are quality wheels and they aren't gonna shatter on you. But because I'll admit I mainly am shooting for the attention or the hot boy aesthetic of these, I wanted to point out that these are actually a bargain in comparison to other hot boy wheels that people commonly put on 997s. BBS LMs, BBS E88s, those come to mind, and those even used sell for 6 to 8 grand for a set. These wheels, brand new, I paid full price, just over 4 grand. And in my JDM biased opinion, as a fashion statement, these do exactly the same job as BBS's, just because you're gonna stare at this car and be like, hey, he's got some JDM Hot Boys on there, just as much as I would also get excited by if they had some BBS Hot Boys on there. So I just think they do the job phenomenally at a lower price. And also, Meister S1s are famous for looking deep, but not actually being that deep. So you can have a big front caliper without much wheel depth clearance and have a very positive offset wheel, but still look like you have a lot of dish just because of the design of the S1, how they simply just wrap themselves around the calipers as far out as possible. But because they cave inward down here, it creates this illusion of extreme dish. But the reality is this wheel is still plus 42 offset, which isn't that aggressive, all things considered. If you guys have cars that have their hubs out, their calipers out, where you can't run aggressive wheels, well, S1s are the cheater wheels, and you could have deep dish with a positive offset. You might have noticed my god-awful PPF pieces have still remained on the car throughout all the different transformations we've added onto it, and it's time we finally do something about this. Now, of course, this ain't gonna peel off like one simple sticker. If it would, this would be done by now. It is so brittle, it individually comes off in little segments based on what you can chisel at. And of course, yeah, this isn't recommended if you care about your paint, but this is kind of the only thing that I can do at this stage. And I'm gonna be honest, the paint on this car isn't perfect. It could probably use a whole correction. So we're just gonna do what we can. That way we can at least get this little added layer off. So now we're left with all of that, which I found that if you use some goof off adhesive remover and you just spray, let it sit for a little bit, and then wipe her down with this. So it slowly disintegrates into a bazillion little sprinkles, but surely, eventually, you have actual paint underneath and it is smooth. But these pieces definitely are factory from 2007 and have never been touched on this car. What has felt like a million years later, it is now entirely all off on this side. Look at what it remains to be. It's literally just peeled skin. This was once a full piece of PPF, but now I can enjoy the car not having that annoying texture in that one spot. It just now all is smooth gloss black paint. I'm too tall for this. Now it's time for the moment that you guys have all been waiting for. It's time we put the wheels on this car. But first, we have some lowering to do.
You might have noticed the height didn't change much with the coilovers installed. That's because I didn't want to lower the car too much before I put the new wheel setup on because I didn't know where it would sit. These wheels were going to be an entire diameter down in size from 20s to 19s, and we also had different tires on here. Thank you to the guys over at Nito. We got some fresh NT555 G2s. They are the perfect summer performance tire with still maintaining a decent amount of tread so that I can take this car on long journeys if I wanted to or drive it all the time. Before buying any set of your dream wheels, it is important to make sure the specs are correct so that you don't have to run any spacers. You can look through wheel galleries on wheel distributor websites and hopefully they should have the specs listed below. In my case for these Meisters, someone happened to make a YouTube video with the exact same car and they listed it very clearly throughout, so I essentially copied what he had done. Now, depending on how much you prioritize fitment, and in my case it is a lot, sometimes the wheels may turn out a couple millimeters off. The front Meisters in the case of this car were just a little bit too inset for my taste, so I went ahead and ordered 7mm front spacers. Since Porsches and most Euro cars run lug bolts, it's important to get extended lug bolts when running a spacer so that you make sure your lug bolts are threading all the way. With the 7mm on, the fitment was much better in person, and now the wheels were completely flush with the body of the car. I can now begin and go ahead adjusting the height on our coilovers.
So Bilstein is kind enough to send spanners that come with the coilovers, but in order to adjust the height of these B16s, you just have one collar right here, not like your typical two that you break away from each other, and it is insanely freaking stiff. It's impossible. We're just not strong men, honestly.
Yeah,
so
that's what it is.
What we do here is we use leverage and use what I learned in Curious George when I was little, and that more leverage equals more strength. She moves. She moves. Now that was one turn, literally probably a quarter of a thread. We have at least like 5 more threads that we're trying to go here, at least like 10 total. Yeah, I don't know what sort of god strength that the Bilstein devs expected for us, but it's brutal out here. So if there aren't already a million comments about this, we're kind of dumb. We were struggling to break loose the height collar on here, and clearly you guys saw us use literally like a breaker bar essentially to twist this. That's because it wasn't actually set up to be twistable. Right in there, there's a little Allen nut key type thing. I can slide this in right here, and I can loosen that, and that's essentially the locking nut. Look at that. That was easy. No extension needed. We're just a little dumb, and that's how that goes. But thankfully now we can slam the rear. So you've noted what spoke it is from the valve stem?
Yep, it's always like the top right
Yeah.
corner.
Apparently there are laws when it comes to your wheel stickers, especially in the JDM world of wheels. So always make sure you know which spoke it is from the valve stem that your sticker will go on so that they are at least
decently close.
Yeah, period correct.
So these kind of stickers are always nerve-wracking because I've had so many that just pull off with the top thing.
Yeah,
so
dude,
I hope this doesn't
the
happen.
vinyl line that separates the work from the wheels is so thin.
How is that?
That is a hair. But yeah, I don't even know if a squeegee helps you. I think honestly your fingers are best odds of just keeping that on there. No spacer for the rear. Just because of the specs of these Meisters. You already know you gotta be on brand with your tire sponsor right here. They're already poking out a little bit up here, so that's good, because when she settles, she's gonna have some camber. Whoo! Oh my God! That is perfect! That is A1 fitment right here. Even almost ever so slightly tucking.
How about that?
It's so meaty. Like, I almost feel like the tire is almost too meaty back here, even though there's no such thing. But this car actually has like such a hot rod look to it. That's just naturally, I think, how the Meisters look. They're like a Japanese American hot rod looking wheel. Dang. Come check out how she sits now.
Oh, dude, that looks so good. That is sick.
Now, rather unfortunately, Christian didn't drive all the way over to my house just to look at the wheels. Remember when we had to reassemble the old top hats on our new coilovers? Well, it turns out one of the plastic pieces got put in upside down. It now resided in my car the complete wrong way, which I actually driven on it and I didn't know how this plastic piece hadn't crushed itself. Regardless, Christian came to my house to disassemble that entire coilover so that he could flip it the other way.
Boom. All this work for just that.
He's a real G for that, and now the car was actually ready to sit properly. With all suspension and height levels confirmed on the car, it was time for the last mandatory step, which is to make sure you get in alignment. I also had a Christmas tree on my dashboard because the steering angle sensor was completely off with the bad alignment. So I arrived over at Porsche of Chandler and they had a ground lift which supported my lowered car. It took a substantial amount longer than a normal car, let's say, to get her aligned. Every time toe would be adjusted, camber would then adjust itself and you were constantly fighting alignment and disalignment. But thanks to my man Chasen at Porsche of Chandler, she was soon all ready to go. So the car is back from alignment and we have our test results right here, and you can see there was a lot of red before and now we got a lot more green. My boy was able to take a lot of rear camber out so that prevents wear, and I wouldn't exactly call this setup a stance build. I would say it's just more functional hot boy. So I actually wanted camber taken out back here.
It's always a pet peeve for me if you have more rear camber than front, because if you at least have more front camber than rear, you could be hot boy drift setup. But having more rear camber, I don't know, that's just ain't it. So now she's truly ready for the back roads. We got new suspension, new tires, and now she's properly aligned. I've waited a long time for this look. Some could say I've waited more than 4 months, more than owning the car itself, because that is when I ordered those Meisters right there. This was always kind of my vision, ducktail on S1s. And I can't lie, it's even more satisfying to see it come to fruition with what we started out with how much of a transformation this specific 997 that we picked out has had. The craziest thing is that we're not done. We still have more coming for the car, something for the interior, and a little bit more planned for the exterior. So stay tuned, there is still more coming, but you guys could let me know what else you guys would like to see added to this thing right here. But I think she's already in such a phenomenal state. I'm just gonna really enjoy the car now. How's that?